What's up, guys? Welcome to the very first Monday Motivation. If you see the graphic on the YouTube page or on my Instagram page, then you'll know that I'm kind of breaking into a couple of different segments as the week goes by, just to make it a little easier for myself as far as being able to get the content out consistently. I did a lot of interviews, and what I noticed is that if I would have had these interviews scheduled to go on just once a week, I would have done enough interviews by now that I would probably be done with interviews for the rest of the year. Uh, so lesson learned with that. I've posted already, I think, 17 interviews, great interviews. But sometimes I think that those things get kind of lost in the shuffle when you're going from one day to the next. You don't really get to hear the story of these dreamers in its full context because you're hearing it, I'm promoting it one day, but then the next day I'm on to the next one. So that I learned just in this process of really kind of being more consistent with my content. As you know, this is not my first podcast. I've had a podcast with Spotify called the Dog Whisperer Podcast that I ran consistently probably for about a year. And then when I was in Huntsville, I didn't really do it a lot. I just kind of lost that creative niche for it. But I created this podcast because I've too been motivated differently in the last few months. I've really got to be able to sit down with myself and kind of explore my mind and where I want to go, and the dreams that I still have that I haven't accomplished, and the dreams that I am kind of figuring out right now. And being a dad to a very young kid can do that for you. Before, when I was here in Atlanta before, I had a teenager with me, so it was a little different. I was able to kind of move about how I really wanted to. Now it's really kind of been about really being intentional about every single step because he's really with me all the time. So I've really kind of dove into what that dream is and how it looks and how I can be a better asset to others wanting to dream as well, wanting to go after their dreams, whether it be in real estate. As you know, I just got my real estate license. We'll talk about more with that on Tuesdays. That's going to be the real estate day. And then also other things that I'm getting into, investments and different parts in management and things that I'm doing with some artists and stuff like that. So a lot going on, but really just that centerpiece, the foundation for me has always been, how do I help others achieve their dreams? And I think that came about for me so many years ago because I was missing that piece for myself. I didn't really have anybody that knew or had, I would say this, I didn't have anybody that had experienced what I was trying to achieve when it came to my dreams and the things that I wanted to accomplish and the way that I wanted to accomplish them. It was so many different things in the grand scheme of things. When you look at it from the outside looking in, it was like so many different avenues. But for me, it all centered around one thing: was how do I get you to achieve your dream? How do I motivate you to achieve your dream? What's the biggest platform I can get on that will allow me to touch the most people, but more than anything, touch the most youth? These kids coming out of detention centers, kids in foster care, kids from single parent households that need father figures, uncles, and things like that. So what's the biggest platform I can get on that will allow me to do that? That's always been the goal for me with everything that I've done over the course of my entire adulthood. So as we, march further into this content, week by week, day by day, you'll learn more about my backstory and where I come from and how I got to where I am, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I think it's a fun story. I think that it's one that is still being written, but I think I've also learned a lot about myself, especially in this last, I'll say 3 years for sure, but these last 5 years, I've learned a lot about myself, what I'm willing to sacrifice for my dreams and what I'm not. So I wrote a little bit as far as today's motivation, being the first motivation, kind of just to give a broad, I think, detail of what this is going to look like over the course of this podcast season, right? So what I wrote was, dreaming big is not just a lofty idea, right? It's powerful. It can propel you forward, towards the future. It can be filled with endless possibilities, right? We can dream as big as we want to, or we can dream as little. We can be constricted by the outside opinions, or we can be completely blinded by our dream and really just go tunnel vision and go after it. Each dream is a reflection of your own potential and your passions and your unique perspective on the world. How you see the world is how you dream. If you see the world as a closed off place, then you're going to dream very small and you're not going to go after a lot of things. But if you see the world as this place where you can be anything and do anything, which that's how I've gotten back to being. I lost that for some years. Um, as a teenager, I say this. So when I was 17, I was a senior in high school. Uh, I didn't go to school. It was a Friday. I didn't go to school. I drove to Atlanta, Georgia. This is my first time ever being in Atlanta. I've never been in Atlanta before, besides, going to Six Flags, on the Greyhound bus for Aflac, growing up. But I had never been to Atlanta before. I drive to Atlanta because in my mind, at this point right now, I'm writing and I'm doing all these things. And I had two friends, one named Cece, and then the other, her name is Nisi. And we were starting this group. And yeah, so I don't know where that cut off at. That was my son. Like I said, he's gonna be in and out, so he'll probably be back again in a second. But like I was saying, I went to Atlanta for the first time, and I went to the mall. I still do not know what mall I went to. I have no idea where I was at, and that's just being honest. I don't know where I was at. Went to the mall, and I met for the first time Candy Burrs. Candy Burrs, if you know, is from the group Escape. She got her name to fame in the group Escape. She's a songwriter, wrote No Scrubs for TLC. She's written for like Alicia Keys, and I was one that when I get albums, I always look at the back of the albums. I look through the booklet and the albums. They don't really do that anymore. And I used to look at the songwriting credits and stuff like that, and I seen her name, on certain songs. And so I knew what her face looked like from the Escape videos and stuff. So I seen her inside the mall. And this was the first time I think I ever really felt like that feeling in your gut, like you're nervous, like, oh snap, like this is somebody. Like this is somebody pretty big. And I met her. She was very warm, very welcoming. And she asked me, well, first she asked me like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I not in school? And I told her, I said, I just want to come to Atlanta. Like, I just want to come and see what it looks like. I want to move here one day. And she asked me why. She was like, why you want to come here? And I told her at that point in time, I was like, I want to be a songwriter. I want to uh, delve into how can I, launch kids forward? How can I help kids, you know, be their best selves? This is me at 17. And Candy at that point was like, do it. And of course, you hear that from every single celebrity. You meet a celebrity, they're going to tell you go for it. That's what they do. It's like, I think, a script that they have that most celebrities are going to tell you to go for it. Follow your dreams, blah, 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 blah. But Candy was very specific with telling me to create uh, streams of income for myself and to go after everything that I feel like I want to achieve, because at some point in time you won't be able to anymore. And at that point, I felt like really motivated. I felt like I could do anything at this point. Um, Long story short, I ended up going, of course, the opposite direction, just from lack of support. Lack of support for how my dream looked was what made me not really go after my dream. As far as in the way that I seen it in my mind, the vision I had, in the way that everything kind of, like I said, circled back around that foundation of building the dream for others, opening doors for others, being that opportunity for others, especially kids. I didn't have anybody that looked at that and said, yeah, I see what you're trying to do, and this is how you could probably do it. Or, yeah, I see what you're trying to do. Or, I was really stuck on validation from people I was a teenager, I was a kid still. So I was stuck in that validation phase. And the person that I seek validation from the most, we won't even really get into who that is, but that person was somebody that I thought was really close to me, that is supposed to look out for me. And turns out that that's the one person still to this day that just kind of always leaves me in the dust. Always kind of sees what I'm trying to achieve and kind of looks the other way when it comes to it. And so for a long time, seeking that validation stopped me from going after anything. Like, I would go after it a little bit, but then as soon as I get that first no, because in my core, I'm still hearing the doubt from this person, the way this person needs to look at what I'm trying to do, because that's still ingrained in my system, that one no completely destroys me. And at one point in time, I literally had, I think this is 2014, no, 2013. I actually had a sample approved by Lil Jon, and was working with this sample. And then I also contracted to do work with Lil Scrappy, who, everybody knows at this point. I think Love and Hip Hop Atlanta had just started coming on. I think it was only maybe its second season. And then I also contracted to do work with Tiffany Evans. And with all these names and with all these people letting me know, like, I have worth, I have value in what I'm bringing, I still was seeking that validation. And I'm here to tell you that seeking the validation of anybody on this earth is going to lead to destruction for you. Like, it won't work for you, because nobody's going to see your vision the way that God has put it in your mind to see. It's yours. Nobody's going to get your dream the way that you get it. And the thing about the world, especially now with the way that TikTok is going and YouTube and all these different things, if you're consistent, if you really go after something, you really want it, if the world catches it. And I just heard this again from Funny Name. I did a podcast interview with him the other day, and he said, if the world catches it and the world supports you, there's nothing that anybody else can do. No matter who it is, no matter if it's somebody that you think is really close to you, that should have your best interests at heart, that should be cheering for you, that should be, every time you post something, they should share it, they should like it, they should comment, but they don't. But it won't matter, because the world has now caught it, and the world now may not even really see what your dream is or see what that vision is, but they're being impacted by it. And that's bigger than anything. The impact that your vision and your dream can have on others is bigger than anything that any validation can take from you. And so, that long story to say, like, one person, well, I won't say one person, I'll say in a room of 10 people, 10 solidified, experienced people in a certain realm of industry. I've had coaches when I was doing like a lot of camps, a lot of training. I've had coaches as big as like Don Staley. I've had coaches as big as, for me, big like, Vincent Royal, who was a high school coach when I was growing up. He was huge to me. Like, the way he owned every single room he walked in. Donica Ferguson, Charles Fortune, um, Coach Wright, both of the Wrights. There was a married couple from Central Phoenix City that coached basketball, girls and boys in Phoenix City. These powerful entities to me and to the community. They saw something in me. They believed in me. Every time I would call, they would answer. Every time I needed something, they would be there. Um, but even with those people in my ear saying, "You can, you can, you can," You're doing good. You're doing good. This is good. I like it. This is great. This is going to work. One person can tell you what you're already thinking about yourself, and you're going to believe that one person over all of those people. It happened to me for over 15 years. Over 15 years, I'm hearing all this good. I got people in my circle that are able to kind of give me that constructive criticism to kind of challenge me a little bit. Make me when I put my dreams out there, when I put my goals, my ideas out there on the table, they are asking questions. They're not doubting it. They're asking questions. How are you going to do this? What does this look like? What's the end goal for this? Who are you looking at impacting with this? Those are real questions that have to be answered, right? But even with them supporting me, one person, because I'm seeking that validation from that one person, can destroy everything I'm trying to build. Every yes, every positive thing, every great impact. I've had a lot of kids that have signed scholarships. I've had a lot of kids that are in college right now. That I have kids that are in the G League. I have kids that are overseas. I have a lot of people that I've helped. But even with all that, one person can make you feel like you've done nothing. One person can make you feel like you're going down the wrong path because maybe it hasn't taken off the way that you feel like it should. And that's their reasoning for, oh, well, you should be doing something else. They're telling me, quote unquote, someone is telling you what you should be doing. Someone is telling you what God is telling you that you should be doing. It's impossible. But that's how the mind works. And it's did that to me for, like I said, over 15 years. Over 15 years, I've sat here and let one person tell me with their actions more than anything that what I'm doing isn't something that they think I should be doing. And that eliminates all the good, all the yeses, all the you can do these. It eliminates that because you're seeking validation. You don't need validation from but one person. That's God. Once he puts it in your heart, once he gives you the vision, he's going to make ways for that to happen for you. It won't be easy, but you have to be consistent. You have to really want it. He's going to challenge you with obstacles. There's going to be things that come in your place, and that seeking of validation, that is something earthly that you have to work within. You have to get rid of that. So, we're here, and like I said, your dream is only going to be as big as the way you see the world and who you have in your inner circle and what voices hold impact in your mind. It doesn't matter what they say if their voice and their opinion doesn't hold any weight. But the second you put weight on what they're saying is when you affect your ability to go after your dream. That doesn't mean that every person in your inner circle has to be a yes man. They have to agree with everything that you're doing. But it does mean that you have to be very smart and have discernment when it comes to, do they really have your best interest at heart? Do they even know what it is you're trying? Like, have they been down that road? If you're trying to coach, have they coached before? If you're trying to make it to the NBA, have they been to the NBA? Have they had even an NBA workout? If you're trying to be a singer, can they sing? Have they been signed to a record deal? You want to be a realtor? Are they a realtor? Do they have a brokerage? Even smaller things. You're getting ready to take a test. You're going to take advice from somebody who hasn't passed the test that you're trying to take. Like, you have to have discernment about who you're accepting this information from, because a lot of times the person that's telling you that what you're doing is wrong, or the person that's telling you that it's time for you to go a different direction, oftentimes is just as lost as they think you are. And that's why they don't want you to do what it is you're trying to do, because they're lost. They're lost, and so they want you to be lost. And when you're seeking their validation, you then think that you're lost. When in reality, you're not lost. You're going the direction that you're supposed to be going. But only you can see that. All right. So the thing is, when you choose to dream big, you are daring to envision on a life that aligns you with your true, your true being, your true self, like everything that's within you. When you're choosing to go after that dream, you're aligning yourself with you. This is you. A life that inspires not only you, but people around you. I firmly believe that when it's of God and when God has put a calling on your life, He's not going to give you something that only impacts you. Nothing is selfish about God. So when you have a dream, at what point does your dream impact others? If your dream doesn't do anything for others, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's of God, at least. Your dream has to impact others. You have to give that back some kind of way. How are you going to give it back? How are you going to be that light for others? How are you going to be the opportunity for others? How are you going to open doors for others? How are you going to educate others? How are you going to teach others? That's the important thing about dreaming as big as you can, is being able to be that colossal light for others to follow and others to see. Does that make sense? So before we keep going, I want everybody, if you're on YouTube right now, I want you to comment for me, just a simple thumbs up. If you have a dream, whether or not you're pursuing your dream right now, if you're scared to go after your dream, but just if you have a dream in your mind, just give me a thumbs up right now. All right. All right. So, journey towards realizing those dreams, it's not going to always be easy. It's not a smooth road most of the time. There's going to be a lot of skeptics, naysayers. We just talked about that. Those are distractions. Those are people who often don't see what you're trying to do. They don't understand it. And you have to get to a point of maturity and a point of confidence within yourself and your calling, that you don't care, that you understand that it's not about them and what they see. It's about you and what you see. And God's gonna align you with the right people. It's gonna be those bumps, but as long as you keep going, He's gonna bring the right people in your life. He's gonna have the people that are gonna be in that inner circle that you talk to on a daily, that you talk to on a weekly, that you tell those deep, dark fears and those big dreams. He's gonna have those people in your circle. And He's gonna have that outer circle that's full of associates and full of colleagues and full of people that can just kind of help you maneuver. People that know people, the people that can open doors, people that need you to open doors, that you're going to build relationships with because of that. He's going to put those kind of people in your life. He's going to put the people in your life that are in line with the vision that He's given you. Because your dreams and your visions, that's all part of God. That's all God's his ability to put stuff into your path to get you where He's trying to take you. To be able to get you to where you're able to live the life that you say you want, but also do the work that He needs you to do. All right. Oh, by the way, this hoodie is available right now. I have some merch that's out on Secure Your Dreams. So I'll put the link down below where you can get this hoodie and a few other things that are already out. You order it, it'll come right to your house. So the biggest thing when it comes to that I've learned, like I said, over the course of these last couple of years, is really just staying grounded. Protect your vision. Be as aggressive with protecting your vision and your dream as you are protecting the thing you love the most. For me, that would be my kid. The way I approach every day now is knowing that He's watching, knowing that I tell him every day that he needs, that he can be, that he can do anything. He can be anything he wants to be. He can do anything he wants to do. But in order for me to really allow him to do that, he has to see me doing that. He has to see it. And my son, he's very smart. He sees me watching, Fixer Upper all the time. So he sees like different, home things and stuff like that I'm into. And he'll ask me all the time, why don't you do it? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? We'll go by a house that's for sale. This is before I got my license. We'll go by a house that's for sale and we'll get out and we'll go look, because I was just that interested in real estate. I always have been. But because I was trained that you have to be in one lane, I kept having to pick one thing to focus on. And that one thing was normally what was most convenient and what was most practical, not for me, but for the people around me. What made sense to them. Coaching is safe. It makes sense to people. They know what coaching is. And it makes sense to people. But a lot of times those people, and hear me when I say this, write this down somewhere, put it on a sticky note, put it on your mirror. A lot of times when people tell you that you can't do something, they're showing you that they just don't want to support you doing it. They don't want you to do it because they don't want you to be bigger than them. They don't want you to do better than them. They don't want you to do it unless they can take credit for you doing it. I run into that so much when I was in Huntsville just these past few years. People won't support you unless they benefit from supporting you. Meaning, I'll share you, and you'll be the hottest thing coming. I'll shout you from the rooftops as long as me and mine are benefiting directly from what you're doing, or people think that it's because of me that you're doing what you're doing. But the second that I have no direct benefit, or the second that I'm not some way, in some form, impacted positively on my own from what you're doing, all of a sudden now there's no more sharing, there's no more commenting, there's no more positive talk. It's all negative at that point. People will do that to you. They'll see that you're doing something big and they will not support you because they're like, dang, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I do that? Dang, how's he doing that? Why is he doing that? And they'll keep on not supporting you because of that. Hold on, my son's right here. You have peanut butter in there, and you have crackers in there.
I'll throw it away.
Well, you're not getting anything else right now. Noel. Thank you.
I'll go to throw up my nose.
Please exit.
Huh?
Please leave. Thank you.
Throw up my nose.
Thank you. Please leave. So yeah, dreaming big takes courage. That's my last point that I wrote down. It takes courage. The rewards are not even measurable though. What you get from just knocking off, small goals off of that list as you're going towards your dreams. Like just marking off like small little goals, things that you've accomplished in a day. Even those little things they're not even measurable. There's no feeling greater than knowing that you just accomplished something towards your dream. And that's something that nobody can take from you. To get my real estate license after putting it off for a decade was something that I couldn't even put into words the feeling when I walked out of that center with my test results in my hand. And this is something that I've been putting off for so long. I get here to Georgia and to be able to start my nonprofit the way that I wanted to start it. Not how someone else sees it, not how someone else says it should be done, but to start my nonprofit, and have this centered focus on these young kids, specifically young Black boys that have been in detention centers, that have made mistakes and need that second chance, and to already see where I had 4 guys message me not even 15 days ago, and they're already had one that committed today. Today, I think what we at June 28th, committed today to Bruton Parker College to play basketball. And he shared his story with me, where he's been and mistakes he's made and where he's trying to go. Like that's what I've been trying to do for so long. And I run into these walls of you should do this, you should do that. It should look like this, and you need to do that. Oh, you're good at Vertimax training. That should be a business. You need to charge for that. Like so many people telling me you shouldn't do this stuff for free. They can't come train with you for free. You can't sign kids up for camps for free. You can't, do these things for free. Like you shouldn't do that. And I'm listening to it. Like, yeah, that is time consuming, but not, they don't understand that this isn't where I'm trying to get my income from. I want to sell real estate. I want to invest in properties. I want to have Airbnbs. I want to continue writing for these artists that I know. I want to do all these things. But you can't do that though, because there's too many different avenues. But what they don't see is how I see it. And at the center of that is still just that one founding word: dream. Telling them to dream big, telling these kids they can do anything. That's the foundation of that. And all these other things branch off of that, and they're just avenues for me to create opportunities for the bigger purpose, which is that nonprofit. That's the bigger purpose. Giving these kids a second chance. There's nothing greater than that. Nothing greater than that. You know, um, so being able to do that, it's going to take a lot of courage, but the reward, again, seeing these kids, like today, seeing this kid be able to commit to college, and he's thinking not even 4 weeks ago that he would never get another opportunity because he messed up as a child, because he messed up as a young teen, and he did time in juvie. He'll never get a chance to right that wrong. But I think differently. Depending on what it is you've done, there's always a way forward. Always a way forward. But no matter how small, you got to take steps towards creating, that entire legacy for yourself. It's a reflects. Your legacy is a reflection of your aspirations in life. When you leave this earth, which we all will, what will people remember you for? What did you leave? What impact did you have? It won't be about how much money you made. They'll remember you for the impact that you left on their life and on the people around them. So now I'm looking at this kid, the impact that I'll leave on him. He'll always remember me believing in him. He'll always remember me helping him get to this next place in his life. His family will also remember that. His mom, his daughter, his future kids, his future wife. These will be stories that he shares. That impact will keep going. And every kid will have that same type of testament. So I'll say this. So as you start your Monday, as you start your week, I challenge you all to write down what your dream is. We'll start with that. We'll start with what the dream is. We'll get into like the goal setting and you know, the way I start my mornings now. That really helped me a lot. We'll get into that stuff as the weeks come. But right now, I challenge you from hearing a little bit. This is a long story, but it's still just a little piece of what I've endured and what I've encountered in the last 20 years. But I challenge you to just write down what your dream is for yourself. Write that in a journal. Go buy a journal if you can. Buy a little notebook. I have plenty of notebooks. They're all full. So I have one notebook that looks like this. But I even have notebooks that, just like the little spiral. One. I have notebooks that look just as simple as this. Simple as this. And I fill them up. These things get full. I probably have, I don't know how many of these. From write down ideas, write down goals. I've written, my friend Kira can tell you, probably 4 books, like full books that I haven't published. Just because of this whole need for that validation for somebody, that one person to say, I see you, I see what you're doing, I think it's going to be good. And that one person, and I'll say this, when I was actively trying to, do some stuff when it came to the music realm, when I was very young, this one person had literally the ability to connect me with 2 individuals that could have completely changed my life. A DJ and a singer that I wanted. I wanted the singer to feature on a song that, to this day, like what we went through with the pandemic, what we're experiencing with politics and what we went through with, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all the countless African Americans that have experienced, racism and things like that in this country, that song, even 15 years ago, that song would have been so huge right now. I know for a fact. And her voice, this singer, her voice is amazing. And she's still pursuing music right now. Right now. She's in her 40s and she's pursuing music right now. And this person had the opportunity to connect me with her because they're close. And she chose not to. And that crushed me in ways that to this day, like I would still look at her and just be like, I must not be that good. This must not be right if someone could look right at me and not do something as simple as just a connect. That's free. I didn't ask for money. I didn't ask for investments. I didn't ask for anything. A connection. That's it. It's free. And that deterred me. That set me on a different, course because I felt a way about myself because of putting so much weight on how that person showed me they feel about me. So I challenge you, write down your dream. Today, just write down your dream. Whenever you're hearing this, just write down your dream. Get you a notebook. Like I said, something as simple as this, something like this. Get you a notebook that only you'll have and write down your dream. And underneath what that dream is, write down why you have not been pursuing it and be honest. This is just for you. Be honest. Because this is going to be the first step. And the reason I'm telling you this is because this is the work that I did. This is the work that I had to do from the end of November of 2024 till, honestly, still right now, but really until I'll say March 1st, when we got the week before we moved back to Atlanta. I isolated myself from November to March. Isolated. It was just me and my son in Huntsville. Me and my son. I I pulled myself back from everything that was not good for me. Every person that was not adding value to my dream and my vision and this calling that I keep getting in my spirit every time I pray and I pray for something. I felt like at one point I felt like that kid. I felt like God was looking at me like that kid is like, I keep telling you the same thing. Don't make me tell you again. I felt like that kid because I kept praying for the same stuff. And I felt like he was putting it right in front of me every single time, putting it right in front of me. But I have excuses why I don't go for it. Validation being one. I'm just not good enough. So write down your dream. Write down why you're not going after it. And I'll leave you with, you need to understand the world needs your unique vision. What you give, the world needs it. So stay true to yourself. Prepare to keep pushing forward. Prepare to keep pushing forward because you're going to run into obstacles even after you have solidified in your mind what that dream is and you're ready to sacrifice and you're ready to push. You're still going to run into obstacles. You're still going to have days that you don't want to do it. Be prepared to push forward. You like to open. And let your dreams lead you as far as it can.
I'm just so hungry.
And you're still talking as I'm doing this right here. You're in trouble. I just want you to know that. Y'all are going to experience the first time seeing my son get in trouble because he's being very disrespectful right now. He does this every time I get on the camera, mind you. So this won't be the last time that you hear me have to talk to him. But again, write down that dream, why you're not going after it, and let's push forward. Everybody, let's push forward. Enjoy your week. This is the Serial Dreamer Podcast.